To our October 27, 2025 Sueur City Council meeting. At this time, I will call the meeting to order. We'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Council members, you all received your packets recently. Hopefully you had an opportunity to look it over closely, reach out with any questions. At this time, I will entertain a motion to approve tonight's agenda. So moved. Thank you, Councilmember Huntington. Councilmember Nelson, seconded. Any other discussion? Anybody have any comments or concerns? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to consent agenda. All items on the consent agenda are considered routine and have been made available to the City Council at least 2 days in advance of the meeting. These items will be enacted in one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a council member or citizen so requests, in which event the item will be removed from the agenda and considered in normal sequence. Mr. Roby, do you want to review these for us?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. First on the consent agenda is approval of the City Council minutes from the October 13th, 2025 regular meeting. Second is approval of disbursements through today. Included in those disbursements are 7 items over $25,000. The first is to U.S. Bank debt service on the 2017 A bond, totaling $197,212.50. Next to Northland Trust Services, 2014 A debt service, $142,047.50. Next to Northland Trust Services, 2013 A debt service, $102,100. Again, to Northland Trust Services for 2014 B debt service payment, $90,745. Next to Bolton & Mank, the engineering work on the 2025 Street Utility Improvements Project, $89,991.57. Next to Northland Trust Services, debt service payment on the 2013 bond, $72,735. And finally to Castor John Incorporated for some boring conduit for the electric department, $32,679.50. Next is approval of the Lister Lions Club Christmas tree sale request, consistent with their prior year request to sell Christmas trees on the city-owned parking lot. And finally, the Sueur Rotary Club's turkey trot in-kind request of city staff, time, and facilities to facilitate the Thanksgiving Day 5K race.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. Does anybody have any questions for Mr. Roby regarding tonight's consent agenda? If not, I'd like to make a motion to accept tonight's consent agenda. Second, Councilmember Williams first, seconded by Councilmember Huntington. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Aye. Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Moving on to public comment. Public comment provides an opportunity for the public to address the council on items that are not on the agenda. Comments will be limited to 5 minutes per person. Persons wishing to make comment and sign up in advance of the meeting on a sheet to provide their names and identify themselves with their address. I think we had somebody on the sheet as I walked in. I saw that it was a paper way over. John O, 145 Barony Road.
Want to speak? No, thank you.
No, thank you. Okay, very good. Nobody else? If not, that'll take us into tonight's city administrator update, Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I have a few items tonight, a couple more than usual, but the first one is a reminder to everyone to sign up for Smart Hub if you have not already. I'm going to be disappointed if anyone who follows these meetings has not signed up yet. Second is the relief grant. So the Minnesota DNR Relief Community Forestry Grant is a grant that the city has applied for and been awarded. In previous years, it's to address the abatement of emerald ash borer infected trees in the city of Sueur. We're preparing for an application again for the 2026 year. There's no cash match, no in-kind required. It is 100% reimbursable covered grant. As I said, we're preparing our grant application right now. And just a quick overview, we're looking at 132 trees in the boulevard or right-of-way, principally on the south half of town. So that's from Swan Street to the south. There are a couple of other trees included in that were not taken in the first round up in the Green Acres development. And then we are looking at an opportunity to get grant funding to remove up to 300 front and side yard private ash trees if the private property owner wishes those trees to be removed and replaced. The total grant value estimated at this time is $561,600, and that includes tree removal, stump grinding, and the planting of a replacement tree. So if we're awarded, we could be able to take up to 430 diseased or to be diseased ash trees in town. Treehouse of Southern Minnesota. So for those unaware, Treehouse is a not-for-profit that offers one-on-one mentoring, group activities, support groups, and truancy prevention programs for students aged 12 through 18. They've been operating in Scott County for a number of years, and they've recently moved here into Sueur County through a partnership at the community center. Up at the community center loft, the EEA staff supported the application for Treehouse to a Southern Minnesota Initiative Foundation for Smith Small Town Grant. We were awarded $10,000 to support the opening of the Treehouse, which we're really excited about. I think currently they operate Monday evenings in their after-school programs. They're doing a lot of work with the middle school and high school right now, and I believe they're still looking for some volunteers. So if anyone's interested, you can find them on social media or give us a call and we can put you in touch with the executive director. We had a fire commission meeting last Wednesday. Next fire commission meeting will be in February. Green Scene Business Retention and Expansion Group will be visiting several Sueur ag-related businesses on Thursday. We're looking forward to that visit. Trick or treat on Main Street this Friday. Yes, there's a football game in Marshall. If you're going to Marshall for the football game, that's great, and go Giants. But if you're not, trick or treat downtown, 3:30 to 5 this Friday on Halloween, stopped by the police department. Finally, there are many in the Sueur community who are going to be in need of assistance coming up here soon, as several media outlets have reported. Because of the federal government shutdown starting this Saturday, November 1st, SNAP and MFIP program recipients may experience a delay or interruption of their benefits services. SNAP is Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, and the MFIP is the Minnesota Family Investment Program. We are coordinating with Sueur County Human Services, and we'll be working with the Sueur Food Shelf to see what additional resources they may need. I know the county is hosting, they have a cooperative of all the food shelves in the county because we anticipate that they're going to see substantially increased traffic over the next several weeks as people cannot get their SNAP benefits, seek food elsewhere. The approximate impact in Sueur, and this is just estimated based on population and SNAP participants, is about 300 people or 150 households in the city of Sueur that utilize and rely upon SNAP benefits. So for those who don't already, please consider supporting the Sueur Food Shelf. And again, the city will be prepared to assist the County Human Services and the Food Shelf and local service organizations in making sure that the needs are met. Next city council meeting will be Monday, November 10th, and we are finalizing scheduling for the budget work session. We're looking at Friday, November 7th or Monday, November 10th right now. I know at least one person who cannot make either of those, and so if everyone else can, we will probably still target the 7th or the 10th. If not, we will look at other dates.
We know ASAP.
Yes, we will. And then finally, because we support the Giants, the Future of the City Forum was postponed last week. We'll be working with the Planning Commission on setting a new date for the forum. And I would anticipate a new date being announced sometime in the next 2 weeks. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Roby. Appreciate your update. Anybody have any questions regarding his update? If not, that'll take us into the regular agenda, and we'll start with agenda item 7A. That's resolution R 2025-048, 2025 street and utility improvement project assessment roll adoption. Mr. Roby.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. City engineer Eric Hauser is here tonight to walk us through this item, which has been talked about throughout the Chapter 429 process of the special assessment process associated with the 2025 street utility improvement project. And I'll just let Mr. Hauser take it from here.
Thanks, Mr. Roby, and thanks for having me, Mr. Mayor and council. I'll give a summary of how the assessments were computed, a summary of the assessment hearing that was held a little while ago, and then a summary of what is to come if the assessment roll is adopted here tonight. So I believe this figure is pretty familiar to most of you. This figure shows the properties that are proposed to be assessed as a part of the project, those that are shaded in red that are adjacent to the project area, which is North 4th Street from Bridge Street to Dakota Street, and then Cathcart Street from Commerce Street to North 4th Street. There were 104 properties proposed to be assessed with the project. Following the city's assessment policy, we did a third-party benefit appraisal report. That report breaks the properties into different types, and that determines the value of the assessment. So the predominant type of lot is single-family residential. There's also a 2 single-family residential home. There's businesses, school, and a church along the project corridor. You go to the next slide, please, Mr. Roby. Thank you. So here is a snippet from that benefit appraisal report, kind of showing those values, providing a range, both a low range and a high range. This benefit appraisal was prepared by Patchen Messner Valuation Counselors, which is the same company who has prepared the report for the previous projects starting in 2017 with the North 2nd Street project. I would also like to note that the same special benefit appraisal value has been listed for the single family residential properties since 2017 at $7,500 on the low range and then $8,500 in the high range. Past practice has been to adopt the low range of the estimate. We're sticking with that practice here for this project as well. And then that assessment value would be payable over a 20-year period starting in 2026. Thank you. So like I mentioned, the assessment hearing was held September 22nd at the regularly scheduled city council meeting. This public hearing provided property owners an opportunity to provide objections or comments regarding the process or the value of their assessments. At that hearing, there were 2 objections that were received. After consideration as staff, we are recommending no changes made to the assessment roll based on those comments. So that brings us here to tonight and kind of where we go from this. So we are recommending approval of that final assessment roll. If council were to approve that assessment roll, that would initiate the 30-day period that property owners have to prepay their assessment without interest being applied. If they do not pay within that 30-day window, then the assessments would get added to future property tax statements. It would be equal installments applied annually over a 20-year period. Again, that would start up in 2026. There is one council-related item with the assessment still coming this year. At the November 24th meeting, council will adopt a final assessment interest rate. The assessment policy is the higher of either 3% or 1% above what the city is able to get for an interest rate on the bond to finance the project. And then another item this year would be November 30th. The city clerk needs to certify all the assessments to the county auditor, and that's what gets that assessment onto the property tax. It's a line on that property tax statement. So in summary, this project has followed all steps for the assessment process by the Minnesota State Statute 429 process. Proposed assessments were based on the city assessment policy. based on the third-party benefit appraisal that was completed. This practice and process, and also the single-family residential values has been consistent with the past 3 projects that have been completed in town of the 2017 Street Utility Improvements Project, the CASAP 22 Improvements Project, and then the CASAP 36 Improvements Project. With that, I'll now take any questions or discussion council would like to have prior to considering adoption of the assessment roll for the 2025 Street Utility Improvements Project. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hauser. Anybody with any questions? Councilmember Nelson.
Okay, so, you said the baseline was 7,500, but there's a few ones on here that are less than that, and I think 2 of them are businesses.
Yeah, I think they'd all be businesses. So that's single family residential, that baseline of 7,500. Businesses were evaluated differently.
Less.
Not in most cases. Most were more, it might be a couple that were less.
Okay.
Anybody else?
I do have one question. One of the, you can probably won't know what I'm referring to, but we had a resident that brought up a concern about being assessed in the early 2000s when they did Morningside and Park Lane for her property. So it's the house that's at the corner of Park Lane, Morningside Drive and 4th Street. What do we need to do to moving forward to make sure that she's not getting assessed when from both sides? It's essentially we're now assessing her because of North 4th Street, but we also assess the Morningside and Park Lane for done.
Yep, great question, Councilmember Sullivan, and the property you're referring to is, just for the record, is 172 North Morningside, which was assessed in the early 2000s for a separate project and is now being assessed again. I think one of the conversations that council should appropriately have is around the special assessment policy itself, is making it more robust to try to account for some of those things. Whether it's a time frame in which properties can be assessed for different projects, or a portion of an assessment that's applied to a certain property based upon that given timeline, so that those properties that do abut multiple rights of way, that there would be some special consideration for them.
Thank you. I mean, I still struggle that we're charging that residents, and I mean, quite frankly, any residents that sits on 2 roads for both replacements. So I mean, I still struggle that we're not modifying that as requested. I mean, because essentially she paid similar amount early 2000s when the other street went through, and now we're turning around and hitting her with that same assessment for another street just because she happens to have a corner lot. So I mean, that's my concern. I still struggle that we haven't found a way to make that whole with her either.
And I think one of the specific requests was to decrease that specific property assessment in half to $37.50.
I mean, that was her request, yeah.
And that's in the absence of a special assessment policy modification that we don't have right now, but could consider in the future if that's an action that City Council wants to make as part of this resolution. That's something, again, where staff has not made a specific recommendation around modifying the list, but that's something that council wants to consider. That's something that could be adopted as part of this resolution. If that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. Thank you.
Did I hear what you're saying?
I agree with your thought. To me, what makes sense is they should be assessed according to their address. If their address is 4th Street, then they're assessed. If their address is Morningside, then it's for a particular project. Perhaps not. So if there's a way to go forward with that kind of thought, that we can encourage some of our committee to make that step, that's what makes sense to me. Knowing that I'm going to be on a corner like Sunday.
Well, and the other part of it is, I mean, there's other streets. I mean, right now we're doing what is it, Cathcart is the hill that goes down. I mean, there's houses that are sitting on 4th Street in Cathcart, but they're paying the same amount as what she's paying this time, when she's paid twice that now. I mean, this will be her second time. So they're sitting in that same avenue, but I don't know what the right answer is. I hear her concern very validly. I mean, I think it's a valid concern that we should address somehow.
So you're saying make a resolution to address it for this project?
I'm saying if there were any specific objections that council heard that, like this one that ties in specifically to this, that council could propose to amend the resolution amend the role as it's presented for that particular property, for example.
What year was that last
It was-
project?
It was early 2000. I don't recall the exact date, and it was 2004 or 5.
I thought it was 2007, is what I
Oh,
saw.
it might have been. I don't even know how to find that out.
Anybody else? Because I'll be looking for motion. I don't know if that's something we want to.
Yeah, I mean, you want that separate from the rest, or you just want the whole entire thing, you know, what's going on with that, with the change and modification of that address?
I would say that's,
Something that could address any property that's in that situation that has a corner lot.
But we can only address objections, correct?
I think it would be difficult to try to address multiple properties right now without, I mean, we have the one specific objection based upon a known assessment from a previous project where the owner was at the property at the time that the previous assessment was levied. I think the conversation around corner lots or addresses is a more difficult assessment or conversation to have right now, because we would need to look at the entirety of the corridor instead and reevaluate all those properties, and then likely go back to the assessor and say, this is the logic we'd like you to apply based upon the right of way that each property is.
So what can we do now to
So,
make it?
so I'll make a motion if you want. So I'll make a motion adopting resolution R 2025-048, adopting the assessment for the 25 streets and utility projects. With the change to the address to 172 North Morningside Drive. Dropping that assessment to, what did we say, $37.50, $3,750.
Second.
Thank you. Motion's been made to accept R 2025-048 with the exception of 172
North Morningside.
North Morningside Drive with the consideration of assessment for that property at $3,750. By Councilmember Sullivan, it was seconded by Councilmember Nelson. Any other discussion, comments, concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Making that motion.
Yeah, it's, Bill, can we bring this back to the table at some point to discuss that policy?
Absolutely. Yes, and actually there are a couple of things in that policy that we've talked about internally at staff that we would like to bring up back to council with the next project.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to agenda item 7B, that'd be resolution R. By the way, Mr. Hauser, thank you for your update. Appreciate it. Takes us on to resolution R 2025-050, the assessment deferment application. Mr. Roby, you want to explain this one to us?
I would. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Speaking of the special assessment policy, the special assessment policy which the city maintains does allow for deferment of assessments under certain conditions. The previous assessment related project, Casal 36, that Mr. Hauser referenced previously, there were 5 properties where assessments were deferred for various reasons per the policy. Staff have received one application for deferment under the hardship provision of the policy for the 2025 street utility improvements project assessment that was just adopted under agenda item 7A. And the application is for 529 4th Street North. Staff have evaluated the application and finds that it meets the criteria for deferment. And the deferment is outlined and will be approved under resolution R 2025-050.
Everybody's had an opportunity to look that over. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Ruby regarding this deferment? 529 4th Street North. If not, I would entertain a motion to adopt this resolution on 2025-050. So, I believe Councilmember Huntington, second by Councilmember Schneider. Any other discussion? Any comments? Concerns? If not, all those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Takes us into agenda item 7C, resolution R 2025-054, the Economic Development Funds. Mr. Roby. This is kind of a long story, so take us into it.
It is. I'll try to exercise some brevity here for the sake of everyone's evening. If anyone wants the long story, they can meet me after the meeting. But the EDA actually discussed this item earlier this evening. The Sueur community has maintained a revolving loan fund since 1987. The city was received some federal and state grants for economic development and community development purposes in the late 80s, prior to the establishment of an EDA. The city council received those funds and established this revolving loan fund. Following that, in 1988, the city council, by resolution, spun up the EDA, which has been very active in the community over the last 30 plus years. The EDA continues to serve as the sole public, economic, and community development body within the Sueur community, driving growth through reinvestment and development. The City Council used funds from the revolving loan fund to support the EDA's acquisition of property along Highway 169 back in 2010 and 2012. Loans were discharged when the property sold in 2025 per terms of a May 2024 City Council resolution. The EDA continues to serve as the authority over the revolving loan fund, most recently, as council and the community may recall, issuing a series of loans supporting the downtown redevelopment, Tiller and Maine, issuing a number of loans through that program. The resolution in front of council tonight is more of a housekeeping item, essentially confirming the EDA as the owner of these funds, allowing the EDA to work proactively to grow our community through the utilization of the revolving loan fund.
Thank you for that short story. Anybody have any questions? Any comments? If not, I'll entertain a motion to adopt resolution number 2025-054 as presented.
So moved.
Thank you, Councilmember Schneider.
Second.
Councilmember Sullivan seconded. Any other comments, concerns? All those in favor? Anybody opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you. Which takes us into reports and items of appreciation. Council members, this is your opportunity to share what's going on with your commissions, what's going on with your community, and as always, Councilmember Huntington.
Just one thing, congratulations to the Giants in their endeavor to go to state. Hope the best to you is on Friday, and that's it.
Thank you, Councilmember Nelson.
You have nothing.
Thank you, Councilmember Schneider.
I attended an EDA meeting tonight prior to this meeting, and that's it.
Councilmember Smith.
I also want to say congratulations to the Giants and for the kids out trick or treating this Friday night and have a lot of fun.
Thank you. Councilmember Sullivan.
Just on Twitter stuff, EDA tonight, and then a fire commission meeting Wednesday. So.
Thank you. Councilmember Williams.
I have nothing today.
Nothing tonight. I have a Sueur Henderson community ed meeting tomorrow night. Hopefully I can report back on that at another time. And I want to wish all of our trick-or-treaters well on Friday and just ask everybody to drive safely Friday night. Other than that, I have nothing else. I'll entertain a motion to dismiss tonight's meeting.
So moved.
Those in favor?
Aye.